Hey guys, welcome back to a new video. I'm Stephanie Fisher. I'm a licensed counselor here in the state of Michigan, and I'm owner and operator of In Progress Counseling. We talked this week about swallowing something, which means accepting, at least at the stage you're at, to the degree you can, kind of that like, oh, this thing is true. And so swallowing it. And last week we talked about chewing it and then the emotional pieces that show up there. And so we're going to kind of keep that particular pattern. When we're swallowing it, it is an act of volition towards acceptance. It doesn't mean acceptance as a destination. It's more of acceptance as a process. Swallowing again and again, this thing is true. This thing has happened. This loss has taken place. This rejection, this betrayal, whatever it is, there's an implication to this thing being real. I'll often use with clients, and I've used this before in the videos, the analogy of pre-September and post-September 11. There wasn't a way to have such a seismic event happen without everything changing from that point forward, or elements of things changing from that point forward. There was before, there was the event, there was the after. And swallowing really implies a committed acceptance of this thing is true. This thing has happened. And we have grief and lament that show up in this acceptance or this ongoing acceptance of reality. And so to swallow something, to have to deal with the implications of what's happened, it means loss, it means pain, it means, disorientation, it means having to figure out, okay, what are the next steps? Where do I go from here? So it means maybe a lot of work and a lot of effort to reestablish a new normal. But the grief that comes with that can be so profound. The confusion that sits in that space of acceptance can be so overwhelming. If you think through when we look at Elizabeth Kubler-Ross's grief model, she talks about bargaining and denial and depression. She's talking about the complexity of just reorganizing yourself around a new understanding. And that's what swallowing asks of us. It asks us to settle into what is and deal with the implications of that. Deal with the loss and the grief and the eventual rebuild, or maybe the seismic shift that will now forever be changed. It's a monumental task. And when I have clients sit there, or in my own personal story, I sit there for days, weeks, months, years. To a degree, it tells me the magnitude of the loss that I've experienced. So when this video comes out, it's July 1. July 4 is the 3-year anniversary of my sister passing away. That is a reality that I actually have to swallow again and again and again. It comes up in seasonal patterns. It comes up in family get-togethers where there's always a vacancy. It comes up when people say, hey, tell me about yourself. Well, a part of myself has forever been altered by being a sibling of 4 living adults. Now I'm a sibling of 3 living and 1 deceased adult. That's a seismic shift that just can't be undone. And so there's a perpetual re-swallowing of that happens again and again. And I'm trying to both normalize it and say, that's not a problem, that on my end I have to do ongoing, continual recalibration and work to remind myself that this loss is true, this loss has happened, I've been affected by it, perhaps I've been perpetually changed by it, regardless of the type of loss. If it's, a termination from a job, if it's failure from a significant relationship, if it's someone leaving our lives unexpectedly through their own volition, painful ruptures that seismically can alter our present, our perception of the past, and our options in the future. So that's the magnitude of the work that we do when we swallow something. It takes a while. And when I have clients, months or years after a horrific event saying, I don't get why it still affects me. It's like, well, because there was a before, and then there was the event, and now you're living in the after of that. And sometimes that's a reality that we swallow again and again and again. That's normal. That's okay. It's really important work.